So course outline, what we are going to discuss or what we are going to cover during this time. So design history or how the mechatronics system design started, area of application, what are the areas of application for mechatronics, okay, and what are the things we do with mechatronics in day-to-day life or in your in industry, in your militaries or any other applications. Then components of mechatronics, what are the parts involved in mechatronics? As you can say, mechatronics is not a single concept or a single kit or single device. So it's just combination of all, combination group of all. Then programming of a particular kit of which is the concept behind of that kit is on mechatronics. It's just like a small industry. We're going to program it. Okay. Yeah. So mechatronics first word come from Japan in 69. So it had trademark rights on the word in up to 71. Then in 82, the company abandoned its right for the free use. So then the word became very popular, and nowadays, day-to-day life, you can see all your all the most not all most of the devices or most of the technological devices we use are based on your mechatronic system. Okay, if you take a simple example of your suppose electric bike, sorry, not electric bike, or your automatic vehicle, or simple your automobile sector, your car. So you can't say that the total car is completely on mechanical system. Okay, there are ICE engines which may be the chief or vital part of the car, but if you install a wind sensor there, or if you install a your rain detector, so when it rains the wiper gets on automatically, or when if you adjust the temperatures of the AC automatically, when you open the door the lights gets on automatically, you use your remote control to start the car, right, or to find where it is, right. So all these technologies are not from a single branch of engineering. So it's from electrical, from electronics, it's combination of all together, information technology, programming. So in particular device is the technology behind that device or behind that kit or behind that appliances is on different branch of engineering. If you take another example of your AC, you can't say AC is a pure electrical element or electrical appliance. Okay, you use your thermodynamics to get the cool air, then you use your design, a mechanical design you require, then and then you require some nowadays IoT based ACs are there. If you give command through a app or through a voice command, okay, you might have seen the ad, okay, okay Google switch off my AC, okay Google switch on my lights, okay. So these things are based on technological, okay, I told okay Google and my phone response, how sensitive it is. Okay, so all of the products are based on mechatronics nowadays. So if you go to the major areas of application, starting from small toys to the robots, to the flight control, to the lathe machines, CNC machines, your production unit, okay, CD drives, all are you can say the part of mechatronic system. So mechatronics is simply nothing combination of different branch of engineering to produce the outputs or produce the devices. If you come to the parts of the mechatronics, we mainly divide them into four parts. First, you need a mechanical design. Okay, if you need an electric, if you need a car or bike, there must be chassis on what you will build your engine, car door, design, all these things. So there's a basic structure. Or if you do a robotics thing, if you design a robot, then the basic structure is its hand, leg, or how it will rotate, how it will move forward, backward, how it will weight the lift. Okay, whether you will made it from plastic or made it from iron or steel or whatever the product material will use for your mechanical structure. That is the first thing. Second thing is sensors. How will you detect the environmental changes if someone is coming near to the robot, if the temperature is increasing, or what is the temperature in particular that area, working area, or whether it detect metal or non-metal. So you need some feedback from the environment. So all these feedbacks will be collected through sensors, or all the users will user data will be taken care by sensors. Okay. Next, obviously, all things will be controlled by the processor. In our case, it is PLC. And actuators. Actuators means if you compare with our body, so we have mechanical structure with our bone. We have different sensing organs. We have different sensing organs. Eyes, your nose, your skin, right? Then all the data is fed to our mind, so which is as a controller, PLC. Then we do our work with our muscle power. So these are your actuators. So if there is a mosquito on my, suppose one of my hands, so the other hand goes there automatically to beat that. So that signal is first my skin detects the that biting of the mosquito, then my brain responds to it, then my muscle works to move from one position to another position. So simple thing. Okay, mechatronics is simple like this. Right? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, you can unmute and ask. This is the kit based on our mechatronic structure. We are going to program it, not the total kit. This total kit is to produce one automated automation process. Last time I have given example of your manufacturing, or you can say your any process part. Okay, so here we assume two materials, two raw materials you can mark here. Two raw materials are here. So it will come one after another through the conveyor belt on a particular sequence. It will reach here. Okay, both of them will be joined using two pins, and finally it will be stored like this here. This is one example of a industry. Yeah, and this process will be cyclic. It will repeat one after another continuously until the magazines are empty. Okay, so we'll take one example to program it, one of the station, and we'll choose the magazine station for the programming, the first one. Okay, the first one we'll choose for programming. It's easy to start with. So what are the parts involved in it? Two magazines are there, storage positions are there where you can load your magazines. So these magazines are basically two cube halves. Okay, sir, can I get two cube halves? Okay, sir, will explain you during that time. So one is made of plastic, another is made of your metal. Okay, so one conveyor belt, we will transport your object from one place to another place. Testing unit, what need to be tested? Two of my objects need to be tested. The first one should be metal or hollow type, and should be any color except black. The second one should be black, plastic, and should be flat type. Okay, sir will demonstrate you during that time better. Then we have a control panel to give all our user commands. We have our maintenance unit. Maintenance unit means, you know, ASU. You guys know ASU?
Air service unit.
Air service unit. Okay, what is the use of ASU? Why it is used?
So to control the airflow and to restrict the airflow.
Okay, so this part is your ASU in the picture you can see. Okay, so what it does, when you give input of this consists of four parts exactly. When you give pneumatics air here, when you in the pneumatics air to this side, so what it does first, there's a first mechanical on off switch like your valve, there's on or off, complete on, complete off, mechanical switch. Next three parts are there, next three parts here. First one is the pressure regulator, pressure gauge, then filter unit. Okay, pressure regulator, pressure gauge, and filter unit. Next is the mechanical electrical part. There is a pressure switch. If the required pressure is there, then only it will give one feedback to PLC, and PLC will respond accordingly. Okay. Next is there is a valve, 3x2 valve. If everything is okay, that valve will be on, and finally you will get the controlled pneumatic output to the kit. So in emergency condition, if you press emergency switch, that valve will be off. So kit will be isolated electrically as well as the pneumatically also. Pneumatic supply also will be off. Okay, that is the unit work of maintenance unit. We call it maintenance unit, or you can say FRL unit. No FRL? Any idea? FRL?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, filter, regulator, and lubricator.
Yes, you have replied correctly. It is filter, regulator, filter, lubricator, and regulator unit. Okay, so for this particular kit, though, we do not have that lubricator unit, and the lubricator unit is generally required when the process is quite continuous. Okay, so for the lab conditions, we are not requiring this machine to be running 24/7. Okay, so for that reason, lubricator is not here. So only the filtering part and the regulating part is done over here. Okay, so.
Okay, sorry, there's a technical issue. I hope it is clear now. Okay, so maintenance unit FRL, I think they told correct, right? Then electrical supply with signal processing. Okay, these are the power supply, all these things. Okay. There's something called Profibus coupler. I'll come to that later. You just keep it in mind. Profibus coupler. I'll come to that later. Okay, and there is a PLC. Okay, what is Profibus coupler? If you look into the if you look into this section clearly. Let me annotate here. So this is my PLC here, and these are the onboard modules only. There is no inline modules. Okay, But if you look at the kit, you will find there are more number of inputs and output, but here the availability is only 8. Then how do you control? You need definitely some extra modules. Okay, but those modules are not connected here directly. Means next to the PLCs, they are not connected here. What they have done? They have connected in a separate place. Okay, they have connected in a separate place, and from here to here you can mark they are connected in a separate place, and there is something else connected. There is something else connected here in some white color on this one. So this one is called the Profibus coupler, and this total arrangement is known as your remote IO. So what we do exactly? Suppose just assume this is one unit, this is another unit, and this conveyor is the third unit, and they are connected in different. They are placed in different area. Here as a training kit, all are in one place, but just assume they are in different positions. Okay. So what happens there? The input output for this section, you no need to extend the wire, so you keep it here only. Input output for this section, the IOs keep it here. Similarly, keep it here. But these are the IOs only. You can't what you can say, you can't control them. Okay, they don't have any processing power. So what you need one main PLC here, and instead of individual wire from one, you can just take one Profibus coupler and connect that with the PLC. Okay, like suppose this is one Profibus coupler, connect with PLC. Okay, connect with PLC. Like this you can connect, or you can make ring topology, bus topology, all these things also. Okay, so in this way what you can show, the number of wires will be reduced and the data transfer will be faster. So they are known as your Profibus modules or remote IO. Understood? Except your onboard module and inline module, what we do, we keep these input output modules in a particular point, then we connect some Profibus module which will receive the data from PLC and will communicate with PLC and will give signals accordingly to these IO modules. Okay.
Sir, like it is acting like a hub, you can say.
Yes, your main PLC is acting like a hub, or you can say like a master. These are the slaves under.
That separate one is the hub for this, which is connected with the PLC.
Okay, this main PLCs, you can say your master configuration or server. Okay, and these are the clients like this. Okay. You can say. And all need to be communicated with the main PLC or master PLC. Okay, so see, if you take a simple example, just let it be clear. So this is your PLC. Okay, and you have one input output, suppose 20 number of input outputs here and here and here. So 20 input output means for each input and output you need power supply, and if you take common power supply also, there will be 20 cables. Okay, there will be 20 cables running from here to PLC to input output module, right? Similarly from here and similarly from here. So instead of them, let a single signal come from here to here, and here we'll add a processor which will process the data and will simply give these signal modules to on or off. Okay, so this is what we do in using the remote IO. Clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what is the task next? See, this is our task. If you have your pen and paper, you note it down, or at the end you can take a screenshot. Okay. So first is one cube hub is pushed from the first workstation from the separating magazine onto the conveyor belt by a pneumatic cylinder. That is the first task. Second is the conveyor belt moves it passing through this testing unit where 3 sensors are there. We will come to each section individually. 3 sensors, one optical, one okay, that is I will leave it up to you. Okay, I'll come to this task later. Better what you can do, sir, can you have a demo of that kit, then I'll come to the task better. Okay, now yes.
Okay, so we'll be going through different elements of this particular setup. Okay, so we'll be starting from the bottom. So if I'll just take the camera in my hand, I'll slowly pan it. So on the bottom, if you see, that's our air service unit, and it is getting its supply from the compressor right over there. Okay, and this is our control hub.
So in the control half, that's our PLC. Okay, this is the remote IO, and if you can mark out, this is actually the Profibus cable. Okay, so that has been routed underneath this cable tray. Okay, so it connects over here at the remote IO. Okay, so if I'll bring it closer, okay, you can see the this Profibus wire being connected over here. Okay, so that actually comes out from this main PLC unit. Okay, and so these are the, you can say, some connections, electrical connections from the top half. Okay, so we'll come to the top. Okay, so on the top, if you see, we have the input in the form of conventional switches. Okay, so that's for the operator to give some manual inputs. Okay, for the emergency, then start, stop, and some stepwise function. If you want to do, you can configure these switches. Okay, toggle switches. Then this half is what we call as your magazine stations. Okay, so this is the part where you actually have your this raw materials. Okay, so what we can call the raw materials for our process, the cube half. Okay, one you can see this is the aluminum cube half, which is this one silvery in color, and this black color one is the plastic cube half. Okay, so if I'll just show you. Okay, so this one is the cube half. Then okay, so this one is another cube half. Okay, so the purpose of this whole process is that we have to combine them together in this form. Okay, so there will be two pins inserted in these diagonal halves. Okay, so that happens on the other machine, means not on this particular kit, and they will be pressed together in this manner. Okay, so there is also a pneumatic unit which is responsible for pressing. Okay, so if you can mark out this pneumatic machine, it has a pneumatic cylinder on top. So whenever both of them cube halves go into it, so this cylinder will be activated and it will press them together. Okay, and finally they will come from this machine to over here by the help of this particular unit. Okay, so this portal unit is again operated by two pneumatic cylinders. Okay, so this cylinder over here is responsible for pick and place. Okay, while this particular cylinder is responsible for okay, so this camera, so I was talking about these two cylinders. So this vertical one is for pick and place. So for picking up the object, it has a vacuum operated suction device over here. Then for transversal, we have this separate cylinder. Okay, so this is one type of cylinder which we call as a rodless cylinder. Okay, so you can just mark that word, rodless cylinder. You can just Google it out or go to the YouTube and see it later. Okay, how it works. Unlike a conventional cylinder which has a piston rod. Okay, so this particular kind of cylinders, they do not have that piston rod inside them. Okay, so that's an interesting mechanism. You can check it out yourselves. Okay, so that's how the object comes onto this second conveyor belt, and as it moves forward, then there is a second handling unit. Okay, so this is the third station. So from this station, this is a handling unit again. This handling unit is again comprising of three cylinders. Okay, so this is this will be giving you the vertical height. Okay, the lift, like so, and on this front end, there is a unit which will give you the length of travel. Okay, so this one will extend in this manner, so that will give you the length, and finally this vertical unit will be suction unit will be able to keep hold of that object, and finally that object will go to that rack area. Okay, so again in that rack area you have one more system which is similar to your kind of a coordinate movement. Okay, so that robot will mimic the coordinate of x-axis, y-axis, and likewise it will home in on the exact position of the rack where that object needs to be placed. Okay, so that was in a brief the whole you can say the whole course of action for this whole machine. Okay. Okay, so we'll be concentrating all of our efforts only for this first kit. Okay, so as sir explained, so this in this particular kit or the first kit, which we will call as your, or which will refer to as your magazine station. The main purpose is that those two raw materials will be delivered onto the conveyor belt in a sequential manner, and they will be moved forward till the end of line. Okay, for this conveyor at the end of the conveyor over here, and whenever it reaches over here, the task for this particular kit gets over. Okay, so after that that object will be picked up from the second machine. Okay, so that's another topic. So for now we will be only concerned with this. Okay, and if you mark these cubes, they need to be in particular orientation. Okay, for example, if the previous workpiece has arrived like this, okay, with the hollow part facing upwards, and as well as the black color part also, let's say in the next consecutive step, it also comes onto the conveyor belt to the hollow part facing upwards. So what will happen is that when this object will move on to the second, you can say the second station, there the action wherein we insert the pins across the diagonals of these two cube halves and we press them, there will be some kind of you can say some kind of problem you'll find, or you can say it may cause some damage to that pressing unit, because it won't be possible to press those two halves, because you can see on the flat side there are no holes. Okay, so it will be impossible to press, and as a consequence which you can have some damage on your raw material as well as on the machinery. Okay, so that's the reason why we have this test bench. Okay, you can say there are certain sensors, okay, each responsible for various you can say to find the various factors of the object moving on top of it. Okay, so namely they will be concerned about the color, and if it is a metal or a non-metal, and as well as if you will see there is one more cylinder in amongst these sensors. Okay, so this particular cylinder, what it does is that it is capable of extending. Okay, so if you can see, it has a piston rod which is extending downwards, and whenever it is fully extended, you can see there is a reed switch which is giving us a feedback. Okay, and this is only possible if your object is having the hollow side. Okay, so if you have this hollow side facing upwards, then only it is possible that this cylinder will extend fully. Okay, and in case we have any kind of raw material with the flat side facing upwards, then this particular cylinder won't be extending to its fullest. Okay, so that is a manner in which we will determine if any object, given object, it is having the hollow side facing upwards or the flat side facing upwards. Okay, so generally for our project for this whole process to work correctly, we require the metallic cube half to be having the hollow side facing upwards, and in case by mistake if it arrives like this, we need to build a logic so that this particular workpiece has to be rejected. Okay, so then the black piece on for the idle operation, it should be having the flat face facing upwards. Okay, otherwise it will create problem down the line. So that is why in case if we receive a black color workpiece with a hollow side facing upwards, it needs to be rejected. Okay, so that is the work for these four sensors. Okay, so they will so individually each of the sensor won't be able to give us all these data, so we have to be collecting the feedback from each of the individual sensors. Okay, all these four sensors, and we have to analyze that. Okay, for example, let's say this one gives us a signal 1, this one gives us a signal 1, this one gives us a signal 1, and this one gives us a signal. So what does it mean? So we have to analyze in that particular manner. Okay, so if all the sensors are giving us 1, then it should indicate that a metal piece has arrived with hollow. Okay, so likewise, so in that manner we will analyze and come to conclusion that what is the exact orientation of our object, and hence we will be executing certain logics. Okay, otherwise it should be rejected. Okay, just like we had done the branching in yesterday's task. Okay, so if the condition is true, then the program should flow in a particular set of instructions. Otherwise it should have a different set of instructions to follow. Okay, so in that manner. And if you'll see the objects how they come onto the conveyor belt, so for that we are employing some double acting cylinders. Okay, one over here, one over here. Okay, and for controlling these double acting cylinders we have valves. Okay, so valves one over here, there is one more valve over here for this second cylinder. Okay, then if you also mark, there is a limit switch over here. Okay, let me focus. Okay, there is a limit switch over here as well as over here. Okay, so they will be telling us if this magazine is empty or not, because without any raw material in this magazine stations, there will be no point running the whole process. Okay, then these are the reed switches. They'll be telling us if the cylinder is extended or not. Okay, so and finally this conveyor belt, so this has a, you can see this electrical DC motor over here, which is coupled via this, there is a drive gear over here. Okay, so that is capable of you can say it is converting because this cylinder is directly not attached to this conveyor belt. Okay, so that is why we have a gear system over here, and it is also changing the direction of force. Okay, because this has been mounted in this manner, so we, in order to have the force in this particular direction, so we have a gear over here. Okay, then what else? Okay, so we also have one more valve over here. Okay, for this particular sensor. Okay, so this is not actually a sensor, but it is a you can say clever use of an cylinder. Okay, and we also have one more sensor. If you can see, there is a red color light being emitted. Okay, so that is actually the sensor which will tell us if any kind of object has reached the end of the conveyor belt or not. Okay, so that will signal the end for the steps on this particular station. Okay, so if you guys have any kind of doubt regarding this particular system or anything what I have spoken up till now, you can ask.
So the conveyor belt is the test one, or will it only be used to test the things, or
No,
it
no,
will place that?
This conveyor belt actually will be transporting the object on top of this conveyor belt so that it comes closer to this second station, and while it is being transported, it will undergo it means it will pass underneath all these sensors. Okay, so it is solving both the you can say it is having it is performing both the actions. That means it is also transporting the object as well as it is helping us test each of underneath the object underneath each of these sensors. Okay, and finally when object has reached over here, that is actually the time where we can analyze the signals from these sensors, and based on that we can either give the command to the next station so that it will be picked up, or else we have to reject it. Okay, so in that process we have to run this conveyor belt backwards, so this object will be retrieved and it will be you can say thrown away. Okay, and again we can initiate the process with a fresh raw material. Okay, so that is how it works. Okay, was the explanation clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Sir, here in all the valves and all the cylinders, we have reed switches connected.
Yes, for the magazine stations, we have both the reed switches for extension and retraction, whereas for the cylinder which is present on this test unit, we only have one reed sensor which is only capable of telling us if this cylinder is fully extended or not. Okay, we do not have the sensor to tell if it is retracted. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Because we do not need the other one, we require one read over here to tell us if the object is in the correct orientation or not. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so before diving into how to be writing the program, we can also see a small demonstration of how this process works. Okay, so I'm releasing the emergency. Okay, So you can see the normal hiss associated with pneumatic systems. Okay, so the air is passing through now. Now I'll go for the start push button. So if I press it, okay, so there is an selector switch for hand mode or auto mode. Okay, yeah, that means if you want to manually control each of the steps for the process, or you want each of the steps to go through automatically. Okay, so that's why now it is in auto. Now, okay, so we have configured the start procedure with S6. Okay, so as soon as I pressed S6, the pneumatic cylinders pushed the object on the conveyor belt, and you can see as it is going through the conveyor belt, the testing unit is side by side doing its job. Okay, and as soon as it has reached the end, this testing unit, you can say, if necessary action would had to be taken, that would have done. Okay, now we'll do this one more time, but this time we'll deliberately interchange the objects. That means the orientation of the object. Okay, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so this time I'll deliberately flip the metallic cube. Okay, so you can see that that object is being rejected back, and after it has been rejected, a new workpiece will be pushed onto the conveyor belt. Okay, so that the process continues. Okay, so if I initiate the start push button in between, then the process is being halted as it is. Okay, okay, so this is the brief demonstration of how this process works. Okay, okay, any more doubt? If not, then we can proceed into some more concepts.
Sir, why is that B3 piston coming when the block is moving, sir?
B3, this one?
No, sir, this the other one. Yes, sir, that one.
Okay, this is over there so that just as I told you, for the process to go on smoothly down the line, we have to ensure that the metallic workpiece has to be in this particular orientation. That means the hollow side should be facing upwards. Okay, so to ensure that whenever a metal piece is being ejected from the metal cylinder, sorry, this magazine station, we have to ensure that it is always in this manner. Because if we will process or pass on material metallic object in this particular orientation to the next station, there will be problems over there. Okay, so this is actually the phase where we are guaranteeing that all the objects are in the correct order for the next station. Okay, so that is why whenever object passes through over here, so all the objects are tested. Okay, so for metal object, this is the favorable condition. That means this cylinder should fully extend. In case a metallic object has come in this manner, okay, so you can see that though it extends, this reed switch is never reached. Okay, so
Yes,
this will give us a feedback that metal object was not in the correct orientation. Okay, and
Okay.
similarly for the black object. So for the black object, this is the favorable condition. That means the flat side should be facing upwards. In case a black object or this plastic workpiece is in this orientation, wherein this cylinder can fully extend, so we will be able to conclude that this has come in a wrong orientation for the process. Okay,
Okay, sir.
hence we can take the necessary steps. Okay, so you also saw that whenever the wrong oriented product has arrived at the end, it has been rejected. Okay,
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
okay, so I will just ask you to
Let me complete the task.
okay. So I'm handing over the mic to Saubhagya sir right now.
Okay, guys, I think you got a view of that mechatronic system. I think the camera is actually, see, in previous classes we have to keep our setup in one position so that the camera was steady. This time we have to move around the camera with around the kit, so that's it's getting a little bit problem. Okay. Yeah. So let me come to the question now. What we have seen in the question part. Okay. Okay. So this was our question. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So this is the question here. The first thing is one cube hop is pushed. See, whatever you have watched there, the same thing I have written here. The cube hop is pushed from separating magazine onto a conveyor belt by a pneumatic cylinder. The conveyor belt moves it past the testing unit, and there are three sensors. One is optical, capacitive, and inductive sensor to measure the properties of the material. Okay, and there's another pneumatic cylinder. If it extends completely, it will detect the depth. If it's flat type, it will not extend completely, so reed switch will not be activated. So if the reed switch is on, product is hollow type. If reed switch is off, product is flat type. Okay. Next, a sensor at the end of the belt, it will detect the end of the conveyor belt and the belt will stop. Okay. And if the material fails during the testing unit, it will come to the end, and from the end it will be rejected, not from the middle. It will come to the end, then it will be decided whether to go forward, whether it's correct object or it's a wrong object. If it's wrong object, then it should be rejected. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now these are the parts. Okay. So before writing program to any complex system or any project or anything, so first of all you need to find out the number of input and outputs and the type of input output. Okay. Here we have all the input outputs are digital type. Let's find out the number of input outputs. Okay. Let's go one by one. You can see in the left side picture, this is called the magazine unit. Okay, this is called the magazine unit. Oh, sorry, let's start with the control panel. Okay, now you say me how many inputs and outputs are there in the control panel. Do you understand the number of input output means? If there is a one push button, that push button is the input. If there is one toggle switch, the toggle switch is an input. Like that, tell me how many number of inputs and outputs are there.
Sir, 6 inputs
Okay.
and 1 output, sir.
Sir,
1 input output.
One input output.
Sir, I
That
think
push button
11
is on off, no?
Sir, I think
Sorry. Yes. Right.
sir, I think 11 inputs and 5 outputs.
11 input and 5 outputs. Okay.
Yeah, because there are 6 switches on the top, the black switches, and on the bottom there are those 5 button switches. So, like in the video sir
See,
gave.
in the bottom second row here, in the second row here, this S7 bit is not working. Okay, not working means there's just they have not connected any switch over there. Just okay, they plugged it. They just left it blank. If further you require later on, you may add a switch there. It's not used. So forget S7. S7 is not a switch.
Okay.
Then
Okay, then not counting that.
okay.
Then just 1 input, 1 output less. So 6 on the top and 4 on the bottom inputs and 4 output on the bottom.
Okay, output is correct. Absolutely, outputs are correct. There are 4 outputs, but inputs you need to think again.
Sir,
Are you
6
considering
input.
the emergency switch as the input also?
Yes, obviously it's an input to PLC. Then in the
Then
bottom
6
there are
plus
5
4,
inputs.
11 inputs.
Listen, in the bottom part there are five inputs. Okay, in the top part there is 3 plus 3 6 switches, but the last switch can be connected to 2 position. When the switch is in hand position, that will activate one output. Sorry, that will trigger one input. When the switch is in auto position, that will trigger another different output. So different input. Okay, because it is a 3 position switch. Okay, if it will be 2 position switch, let me write it down. See, yes, if it is 2 position 1 and 2, then you can consider one as auto mode, another is manual mode. But there are 3 positions, so one will be auto, manual, and there is a middle off position. Okay, so when auto is activated, it is activating one input. When manual is activated, it is activating another input. So there will be two input for that associated with this switch. That will be two input. Then two. Then in the first line there are 3 plus 2 5 more. 5 plus 2 7, and in below there are 5. So 12. And there is an internal feedback. Okay, for that read that emergency switch from that emergency relay. So there are 13. For your case it is 12. Just consider 12 inputs plus 4 outputs. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
12 inputs and 4 outputs, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now let's move to the next part. You can consider like this, okay? Okay. In this unit, how many input and output for PLC? You can mark here. Already I have explained you this thing. You can mark it. What is the input and output for PLC from this section? Yes.
Sir, one input and 6 outputs.
No. One input and one output. Okay. See, these first two parts are completely mechanical designs or mechanical switches, you can say. These are not electrical connections. Then 3 and 4 only. 3 and 4 only. This is your input, and this fourth one is the output. Okay. Pressure switch will give PLC feedback to PLC that the pressure has arrived, and this valve will be on, so that you will get a signal. You will get a signal here. Okay. Okay. Now let's come to the next.
Sir, please can you show the previous slide one more time? That buttons.
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. You can count the number of buttons here. Okay. Yeah. Then I think these two parts are not displayed. Let me check in my PPT. I missed, I think. Okay, I missed these two parts. We need to find it out physically. Okay, here this part. Let me explain you this part. Then testing unit. This part. And here this testing unit. And here this conveyor will be taken also. Let me do that. Sir, can I get that camera view? You please start at your hand. Yes. So we'll start with magazine station, sir. Magazine station? Yes, sir. Okay. So guys, focus into the magazine station now. So what is happening here? First cylinder will push the object when it will extend, and when it will retract blank. So for that, it's a double acting cylinder used, and you need feedback of extension and retraction. Listen carefully what I am telling, so that you have to find out the number of input output. So it is same for magazine 1 and 2. So if you find for 1, then just multiply with 2, you will find for both. Okay. In the first one, it's a double acting cylinder which is operated by 5/2, both sides solenoid operated DC valve, 2 reed switches for feedback, and there's a limit switch in the box to show that whether this box is filled with magazine or it is empty. Okay. Tell me the number of input output for both of the sections.
Sir, 5 inputs and 2 outputs, sir.
Total 5 inputs?
Yes, sir.
No. How it will be 5? I told you na. What is for magazine 1? It is exactly same for magazine 2. So if you are getting 1, then total is 2. If you are getting 2, total is 4, like that. So it will be even number only.
Sir, 4 inputs and 4 outputs.
No. Outputs is correct. Outputs are correct. 4 outputs. In each
Sir, 10 inputs and 4 outputs, sir.
No. You have gone so far. Reduce. See, to drive the double acting cylinder, you need one 5/2 valve Okay, in that 5/2 valve, I told you earlier, see, you need one 5/2 valve. Okay. It is having two solenoids. Okay, so those are your outputs. So in 5/2 valve, there are two solenoids here. So two output. Is it okay? I'm considering for one magazine. Is it understood? For first cylinder, this is the
Yes, sir.
solenoid and two outputs.
Sir, then 4 output.
Then total is 4 outputs, right? And coming to the inputs, each cylinder is equipped with forward and reverse detection, means for extension and retraction detection. So two reed switches, okay, and there is one limit switch. This will indicate whether this magazine is empty or it is full, or object is there or
Sir,
not.
6 inputs then.
Right.
For two magazine.
Okay, so there are total 6 number of inputs and 4 number of outputs. Okay, let's go to the next unit, sir. We'll go to the testing unit. Such a control panel. Okay, coming to the testing unit. See, first one is the sensor. It will detect. You tell me. See, there are 4 type of sensors. One capacitive sensor, reed switch, inductive sensor, photoelectric sensor. You tell me which sensor is for what purpose. Okay, you can look into both your camera as well as the screen, and you can tell me. What about the first one? The first one's work is it will detect the presence of the object, so that it can give command to this cylinder to extend. So which type of object it will be? It will detect in both material, means both metal and plastic. So which type of sensor it will be?
Input sensor, sir.
Photoelectric.
Photoelectric?
Yes, sir.
No.
Sir, capacitive.
Capacitive.
So it must be the capacitive one, because it will detect both of them. Next, if the depth is okay, this reed switch will be on. So this one is the reed switch here. Next, this sensor will detect any material except black. Except black color material, it will detect everything.
Photoelectric.
It's a photoelectric. So the light will be observed completely. You can
Inductive.
Last one is the inductive. This last one is the inductive. See,
Okay.
when sir keeps the metal, the light gets on, and when remove, the light gets off. So tell me, and see, this arrangement is nothing. This arrangement is no sensor. Okay, it's just a simple cylinder arrangement which will extend and retract. And if it is extended completely, reed switch will detect. If it doesn't extend completely, reed switch will not detect. Okay, so it's not a special type of sensor. It's just a cylinder only. So now tell me, what are the number of input and output in this total section here? How?
One input, 4
Sir,
output.
3 sensors are there and 1 cylinder is there.
Reed switch is also there. Reed switch is also a sensor. First
4
one is the
outputs.
capacitive sensor, reed switch, photoelectric sensor, then inductive sensor. So there are 4 inputs.
Yes, sir, 4 input.
And this double acting cylinder will operate with 5/2 both sides solenoid operated DC valve. So there are 2 outputs. Is it okay? Is it okay with 4 input and 2 outputs?
So
Yes, sir.
where is the double acting cylinder, sir?
Okay, so I will explain. Look into the camera.
Yes, okay, sir.
And the back.
Yes, okay, sir.
And if I pan the camera from top, you can see the valve over here, and it is having solenoids on both sides solenoids.
Okay, sir, okay, sir.
Okay. Next is the conveyor belt. So what is the work of the conveyor belt? The conveyor belt will move forward as well as the reverse direction, clockwise as well as anti-clockwise direction. Okay. And there's a sensor at the end. Sir, can you zoom to the sensor part? Look into the video. Here only. Yes. So this is IR sensor. You can see the light through camera also. Okay, so now tell me number of input and outputs. You know motor forward reverse. This is the PMDC motor only. Small permanent magnet DC motor is used here. So what is the number of input and outputs here?
So 1 input, 1 output.
How?
Sir, the sensor is the input through
Then-
where the object will be detected, and the motor will be the output. If a rejected piece comes, it will move to the other side.
Then how it is a single command? If you give a clockwise direction as well as anti-clockwise direction, then it's not a single command.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So sir must have discussed during relay logic class. To make motor forward reverse, you need 2 relays minimum. Okay, when relay 1 is on, motor will return clockwise. When relay 2 is on, motor will rotate anti-clockwise. Has it been discussed? Or should I continue? Oh, I'll explain that again.
Sir, it was discussed.
Okay, then 2 relays are required minimum. You can check your notebook later. If you can see in the camera, so there are connections coming from 2 relays. Okay, so and all these connections are going to this motor. Okay, so the relay is actually behind. Okay, over here. These 2 structures you see, that white color, biscuit color structures are called relays. And these are the connection blocks for those 2 relays, and this combined office connection is only for this motor. Okay, so you have the capability to run this motor both clockwise and anti-clockwise. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
I hope we completed all the parts. Control unit, input, magazine unit, testing unit, and conveyor unit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, right? So I have a list. It might not be feasible to you. Sir, can you just plan it? Yes. I'll show a list to you now. Rotate it, sir. Rotate it. Yes. No, sir. Your orientation is correct. Okay, like this only. Again, it rotates. See. No, you hold it perfectly. Okay, that's okay. See, is it visible?
So let me go section by section.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes. So whatever we have discussed, say if it is an input or output, it must be connected to PLC, and it must be an IP address. Sorry, that input or output address. So like that, you can find, if I tell, suppose example S1 switch, you can mark here. Suppose S1 switch. So this meaning is for switch 1, and the switch 1 have some specific address, IX 2.0, 2.1, or 2.2, like that. Similarly, there's a lamp on the push button. Suppose start push button lamp, and if the start lamp I need to monitor, that start lamp is for indicator lamp. Okay, and there's a specific address to that. Sorry, that QX 0 something, sir?
1.0.
QX 1.0. Like, so if I want to switch on that lamp in my program, in the output I have to give an address of %QX 1.0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. Next, hardware description, task description, everything is okay. Next, we will move to the configuration part, configuration of PLC. Any doubt or anything to ask? Any doubt or anything to ask? No? Okay. Let me end this presentation and let me go to the programming screen. Yeah, we are back to that screen again. Right.
Audio configuration programming.
Okay. So what we'll do, for one demo project or demo program, I will show you. And tomorrow we'll divide into all of you into 2 groups. Okay, and you have to do the program by yourself. Okay, so I think you guys are using laptops or mobile phone. At least 1 or 2 of you are using laptop. You can install any desk, a very small software, 3 MB around. You can install that, and you can access our system remotely, so that you can program and you can download it. Or through
Sir,
Zoom.
what to install, sir?
Any desk, one small software.
Any desk.
Yeah, I'll put it in chat box. Okay, those are using mobile also, they can download from Play Store, but through mobile it will be very inconvenient to use. You can use this on any desk. It's just a remote control software from PC to PC. Okay. Okay, so before PLC configuration, I think you are clear on that Profibus and all these configurations, IP address, all these things. Okay, so same procedure, you have to create a new project, and I am using same PLC. Okay, let me write, suppose this is magazine unit. Okay, comment. Or you can write any your name or anything. Okay, I can write it like next. So the most important is the firmware. Here the firmware is little bit different. Sir, please check it. I think 327, 3 something or 4.
Uh, 03V09.
Okay, so here we have the firmware 03V09. Okay, next step is communication parameter. You can see my IP is 50 and it's already 50. Okay, I need to remove this one. Okay, I have to finish this now. Next, it will configure. And just wait for some time, it will configure. Okay, so when you add this L20 PLC comes with by default its onboard modules. Onboard module. So you have only 8 number of input outputs. Okay. So here we don't have an inline module. Okay. So here we don't have any inline module. So when we don't have any inline module, you can add the Profibus module here. So in Profibus module, you have to right click, add slave. Sir, will you show?
Yes.
Okay. Let me start your camera then here. I can start it from here. Okay, I have to start with you. Yes. Yes. See, first I need to add the Profibus module. Sir, please show the module name. It will be something RIL. This is not a standard name, it's company specific. Okay. So I have to right click, add slave. Okay, this main PLC, this one will be slave under that. I have to add input output under that slave. So it will be this one. Okay, you can see. Then there are some number of input outputs. You can see. Can anyone call me the sequence? Anyone? Just show them what are the number of input outputs only.
So these are the input modules, digital input modules. Okay. So again, how many number of input modules, how to count? So you have to keep mark of these diagnostic lights. Okay. So these diagnostic LEDs, if you find out, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So first information that we can get over here is that there are 5 number of individual digital input modules. Okay. So this first module consists of if I count the individual LEDs, which are not lighted up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and each of this box has 4. Okay, so that means that this as a whole is a single unit and it comprises of 16 inputs. Okay, so this one is a digital input 16. Okay, and likewise the second unit it is a single unit and it is having 1, 2, 3, 4. That means it is a DI4. Likewise, again, this one is a DI4, this one is a DI4, this one is a DI. Okay. So what we have in total is DI16, and there are 4 number of DI4s. Was that clear?
So 16 inputs and 4 outputs.
No. At this moment, I am only talking about the input modules, digital input modules. So how they have been stacked up, I am just describing that. So they have first stacked one digital input 16, Besides that, a digital input 4, 4, 4, 4. So there are 4 number of digital input 4s and 1 digital input 16. Okay. So this is the sequence for the digital inputs. Okay. Then coming on to this pink color module. Now you can mark there are 1. Okay. So first of all, let us count how many diagnostic lights are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So there are 5 individual digital output signal modules. Okay. And for each signal module, if you count, there are 4 LEDs. Okay. For telling the status of the output. So this one is a DO4. Yeah, that means digital output 4. Again, this one is one more digital output 4. This one is one more digital output 4. Digital output 4 and digital output 4. So there are total number of 5 digital output 4s. Okay. So you can see that same sequence being repeated in the program by Saubhagya sir. Okay. So you will be adding the modules in a similar fashion. Okay. And you will keep the sequence also same.
Second place, so then the deep switch.
Okay, so after doing that, one more thing that you need to take care or mention in the program is the status of this DIP switch. Okay, so if you can mark, just besides that, there is a DIP switch and it is having digits up to starting from 1 to 10. Okay, that means if you start from 0, so
Not visible, not visible,
okay, sorry.
not visible. Yes.
Actually, the lighting.
Just a minute, sir. We need to put some light here.
I think now it is little bit clear. The numbers are visible. No, the shadow is coming out. Yes, now it is somewhat visible. So you can see that there are 10 switches. Okay, and what we do is that we can decide what bus address we need to keep.
Let me explain it here, sir.
So I guess I will be explaining that part.
Okay, guys, let me explain you the deep switch. So, just a minute. Okay, yes. So, what happens to the deep switch? Let's see. Yes. So, this is your PLC, right? Then you have added your remote IO, and you have multiple remote IOs, not a single remote IO. You have one remote IO here, 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 and here. Okay, and as you, as I told you, all are connected to PLC. All are connected to PLC. Okay, then how will you identify to which module you have to give command? Because what will happen? This module will have an address of IX 0.0, the first one. This module also will have an address percentage IX 0.0. Okay, or may not be. The address may be same, may not be. But the question is, how will you individually identify the modules? So you need some address. So what happens there? There is something called deep switch. Okay, no full form. Deep switch means what? No. So here are some switches here. Okay, and these switches power you can add 2 to the power 0 power add, like so first one 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So the switches are on, you can add the power 2 to the power 0 plus 2 to the power 1 plus 2 to the power 2 like that. So in the key you saw the power. So second switch is on. Okay, second switch means 0, 1. Sorry, the third switch is on. So 0, 1, 2. So the address will be 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 2, that is 4. So address for the Profibus slave or the Profibus module is 4. So we have to put that address. Okay, so the deep switch is dual inline package. Okay, so you have to put the address here to 4. Then yes, I have added the same module. Okay, let's verify the addresses. It should be the same sequence 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, then QB1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes, the addresses are in sequence. Now we are ready to write the program. Let's open logic. Right. So we'll start with ladder language programming. Okay. 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 Just give me a minute. Sir, can you ask Rakesh sir to send this list to the student? This list. I think Rakesh sir has that list. So if you can send so that they can find the address. If I tell them suppose start switch, so they can reply me what is the address of the start switch. Okay. So before writing the program, let me first use the emergency stop push button. I think that okay. You can take. So I'll take an emergency stop push button. So and if I release the emergency stop push button, the 3/2 valve will be on. Okay. So the address for the 3/2 valve is percentage QX 0.4. Percentage QX 0.4. Okay. Percentage QX 0.4. Okay. So what will the input, NO type or NC type? Tell me. The question is, if I release emergency stop, the output will be on.
Sir, NC type.
NC type?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take an NC type. And the address for that emergency stop is IX 1.7. Okay. IX 1.7. Right. So now I need to download that program. Online login. Yes. It will override the previous one. Run. So if I release emergency stop, that output should on. Okay. So it won't be visible in the first task. Let me just show it for you only. If I release emergency stop, you can find the sound. So that pneumatic on and off. So if I release emergency stop, that valve is getting on and off accordingly. So that means first task is okay. Now I have to write the second task. Second task means these are not tasks actually. I am testing the input output, because if I say clockwise, okay. There's a movie 1, 2, 3. Have you seen Sunil Shetty, Paras Rawal starring? So Sunil Shetty is continuously asking my left or your left, right? So if I tell the conveyor belt is rotating clockwise, so my clockwise and your clockwise may not have the same direction. Okay. So from Germany, when they have configured, they have set one particular direction as clockwise. So it depends to which side you stand to the kit, front side or back side or whatever means the side. So let me check what is actually clockwise, what is anti-clockwise direction, and let's check some few input and outputs whether working fine or not. Okay, like those things. So what I'll do as first task, listen. Group in the group. Okay. So in the group you will get a photo of that address list of the mechatronic system. Okay. So addresses I'm talking about this emergency stop, conveyor belt, and all the things. Okay. Now just for right now discussion is just note down few addresses in your pen and paper so that it will help us in programming. I will use two switches, two push button. One is a start push button. Another is S6 push button. Start push button and S6 push button, and I'll use stop push button. Sorry, I'll not use stop push button right now. Okay, note down stop then. Start, stop, and S6 push button. Okay, address for start push button is IX 1.3. For S6 push button it is 1.6. Percentage IX 1.6. Just note down this address. Stop is IX 1.4. IX 1.4, and conveyor clockwise is QX 2.0, anti-clockwise is QX 2.1. Okay, these are the addresses. You just note it down in somewhere. In the rough, you just note it down. I have written in rough. So similarly, you can just write it down.
I think Rakesh sir has already sent it.
Listen, are you in the group also?
No, I am not, but he has confirmed.
Okay, check your WhatsApp group. You will find a list of addresses. Just check it.
Yes,
I'm
sir,
waiting.
we have got it, sir.
Okay, got it. Let's try. Will you able to find it out or not? Okay, I want inductive sensor address. Tell me. Address for inductive sensor. Inductive sensor is associated with testing unit. So look for the testing unit, inductive sensor.
Sir, IX 6.3.
Okay, 6.3. Very good. I want cylinder 2, magazine 2 cylinder, sorry, magazine cylinder, suppose magazine 2 cylinder to retract. What should address will I use?
Sir, QX 3.0.
Magazine 2 cylinder retract.
Sorry, sir. QX 4.1. QX 4.0. Sorry, sir.
4.0.
4.0. So I have to, okay, very good. So that's what I want from you guys. Okay. So now task is, if I press start button, conveyor will rotate. Okay. If I release, conveyor will continue its rotation. And if I press stop button, conveyor will stop. Okay. Tell me what I have to do. Whatever you tell, I will do it in the network, in the circuit now. Sorry, in the 16 now. Tell me. First, I have to take NO contact or NC contact. Then what I have to take like that. Question clear? Press the start button, conveyor will rotate in clockwise. Press stop button, conveyor will stop.
Sir, we need to take the start push button first.
Okay, there is
Then
no start push button. You have to tell me whether it's NO or NC like that. What I have to take? One NO contact or one NC contact like that?
NO contact.
No contact.
Okay, one NO contact. And what should be the address?
Sir, IX 1.4.
IX 1.4. Okay. Next,
Next, sir, DC motor.
there is nothing DC motor in software. For all the outputs, you have a common symbol coil. Okay. For all your outputs, there is a common symbol coil. What should be the address?
Sir, QX 2.0.
2.0. Okay. Next,
Sir, then IX 1. 2.1.
I think IX 1.4 is not the correct answer.
1.3.
Okay. For start, it should be 1.3. For stop, it should be 1.4.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
if I-
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I press the button, output will be on. If I release, it will stop. So what I have to do for permanent output?
Latching.
Okay. So how to do? I have to connect one parallel contact across this IX 1.3. I have to connect one. I'll use one no, sorry, not here, parallel to this, and I have to give the same address as it is. Okay. And how to stop? What I have to do? Tell me
Sir,
what I have to connect.
IX 1.4.
NO or NC?
NC, sir.
How do you decide? See, generally what happens, the stop button or emergency stop button is default connected through NC terminal. Okay, if you just a minute, let me write it, note it down. If you mark, suppose this is a digital input module. Okay, this is a digital input module, DI module, and you have a start push button here. That is wired in the NO form. But if you have a stop push button, default it is connected in NC state. So that means already supply is coming to this point, and here this state is 1 already. Okay. So what I have to take? If you take NC, if you take this terminal as NC and it's getting a command, so this NC will change to NO. Okay. Let me show you in program. See, if I take this as NC terminal, or how to get more feedback, you can look into that. I think the camera is not started at your end. Okay. See, the button is not pressed, but sir, if you look, if you put it into that input output module below, you can see that LED is already in on state. See, find out 1.3. Can you identify 1.3? Sorry, 1.4. 1.4. Press the stop button. Okay, disconnected from that. That one is the 1.4. It's already in on condition. If you press the button, it's getting off. That means that one signal is already coming. So that's why if I take it NC and if I log in, you will find by default it will change to NO state. See, now it's in NO state. The circuit won't complete now. So what I have to take? I have to take it opposite one. I have taken it NO, and in that terminal it's already getting 1. So that terminal change to NC. Now if you release emergency stop, sir, please release emergency stop. Okay, pneumatics is active. Now if you press the start button, start button, yes, you can see the conveyor is running. You can visualize it. You can get the sound, or is it visible? You can put a metal. You can take this. See, it's running in one direction. Okay. So from this side it is anti-clockwise, but according to the list it's clockwise. Is it understood? Now if you press the stop button, sir, please press the stop button. The battery stopped. Is it understood up to this?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Okay. Now what I have to do? Okay, sir. Let it be in. You can put that on the belts, control panel, sir. Okay. And you can little zoom out, and you can put an object to get the forward or reverse direction. You can keep one cube on the top of that. Take this. You can. Okay, you can take any one cube. Okay. So I want to test the anti-clockwise direction. So what I have to do? I will simply copy paste the same network. I will change the address to 2.1 here, and I'll take another switch like say 1. I want to take S6. So what will be 1.6? Is it okay, or anything else I have to do? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. It is correct, sir.
No.
Sir, we are taking S6 push button. Then
Yes, we are taking push button. If I press start, motor rotate clockwise. If I press S6, motor rotate anti-clockwise. But while doing this type of connections, I am missing something here. Can you find it out? What do I miss here?
interlocking.
Yes. Whenever you are doing forward reverse, or whenever you are doing what you can say, the extension retraction of your double acting cylinders using 5/2 both side solenoid, always go with interlocking. So I have to interlock here. Now is it okay? We need to download. Now I can see, sir, just toggle between start, stop, and S6.
So I'll go with start first.
Yes. And see, it's rotating in one direction. Then stop it.
If I press stop,
Press stop. Then anti-clockwise S6.
S6. Okay.
She's going in another direction. Stop. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm giving a simple task. You have to tell me from starting to ending. The question is, I will delete. Let me delete it first. Okay. Let me delete 2 and 3 because network 1 must be there because this is related to emergency stop. Okay. Let it be there. The question is, if I press a button, start button, let's say, or S6 button. If I press S6 button, that S6 light should on. The light on S6 button should on, and the testing cylinder should extend. If it is extended completely, then after 1 second it should retract. That is the task.
Sir, by using timer.
Yes,
Sir,
whatever
can
you
you
can.
please repeat?
Sorry,
Can you please repeat?
question.
Yeah, the task.
Okay, so there is a S6 button. If you press the S6 button, the light on S6 button should glow. If that light is glowing, the testing cylinder should extend. When it will extend to the end completely, it will wait for 1 second. Then it should retract. That is the task. And
Okay,
if I
sir.
press
Can I
the
give a
start
try?
button, if I press the S6 button again, same thing will happen again. That's the
Okay,
task.
so can I give a try?
Yes, yes. Always
Yeah,
welcome.
so for the input, you need a IX 1.6.
Okay, you tell me, I'm doing it parallelly, and if someone thinks it is different, you just tell it at that time. So input will be percentage IX 1.6.
1.6.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and on that same line, the output is going to be the the LED of that S6 button.
Okay.
So
So
that
address
is,
is
yeah, QX 1.3.
okay. Good.
Okay. Now again on that IX 1.6, you take a branch.
Okay. Okay. Actually, branching is not possible here. I can take the same input so that it will work as a
Oh,
branch.
okay. Okay, no issues. Okay,
Okay.
and then you need to extend the cylinder. Sir, what was the name of the cylinder?
Testing cylinder. You can say in the testing unit, you can see there is only one output. Sorry, two outputs for extension and retraction.
Okay, yeah, extension interaction. Okay, so you wanted to extend, right? So
Yes.
you will take QX 5.0 as output.
QX
Okay.
5.0 as output. I will take. Okay.
Yeah. And on this on the next line, on the next circuit, you
Okay.
take QX 5.0 as an input. Like
QX
you
5.0 as input.
sorry, a relay. You take a normally so just 1 minute. After
Okay.
it retracts, okay, you need a read switch input. The read switch is connected at
32. Serial number 32. You can check.
serial number 32. Yeah, so that's IX 6.1. Okay,
Right.
6.1. So now their cylinder is extended. You need to add a T off delay, a timer, turn off
T,
timer.
T off.
T off, yes, T off. You want it? Sorry, T on, my bad. T on, T on.
Okay. Let it be T on.
For 1 second.
Okay. 1 second time delay.
Okay. So
Next.
after 1 second, it is. mm, it is supposed to retract, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you will have to give 5.0 off. So you add a in the last circuit, can you add a relay some in the last circuit, but after T on one relay,
Okay. Let me add a
and
relay
who's
like
yeah,
MX 0.0.
yeah, and the normally closed of this relay is in circuit 3.
Here.
Yeah, here.
Okay. Let it be. Right. Next.
Okay, so this is normally closed. So as soon as this is triggered, okay, you will need one more circuit
Okay.
in which you will be taking the normally open of the MX 0.0 relay,
Okay.
and you will be connecting it to the output of QX 5.1.
Done.
QX 5.1.
Yes, I've done. Is it?
Sorry, what?
Is it okay? I've
QX
done.
output is Q5. Yeah, yeah, yes, correct, sir.
Anything else?
Sir, after 1 second,
Uh,
the cylinder should retract. So one T off must also come.
How will you retract the cylinder? By giving one by making an output on or by making an output off?
switching one output off and another on. That's the extend output for extend should be off and retract should be on.
Oh, no, okay. Then why do we require off relay? Off relay will work if you give the input off, then after some time the output will be off. We are not making an input off here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
We are making one input on, and from that point we okay.
So your voice got.
Let me check my gun. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The question is, I am getting an input on when the cylinder is extending. I am getting the reed switch on, and from that on, I need to count the timing, right? So if I supposed to get suppose want to get the output on after something getting off, then I have to consider a off delay. But here I am getting my reed switch on when the cylinder is extended. Then I have to start the timing. So it must be something on delay type of thing. Okay. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is it okay or anything you missed out?
I think it should be sufficient.
You just missed the simple thing I told earlier.
Sir,
Okay.
interlocking.
Okay, interlock is already interlocked. You can see mx 0.0. Okay, you can't make both of the line on at a time. One will be NC, one will be NO. So it's, I think it is sufficient. Okay. Can you reduce the circuit? I think you can do it in 4 line also. That fourth is enough. Why do we require fifth one? Can I take this one directly? See, practical valve or practical solenoid don't have NONC, but virtually I can use this one. Okay, virtually I can use this one.
Okay, so this is allowed, like
Yes.
just by using the output directly.
Okay, so we don't require this one. And one more thing is also, this one is here not to make it off because it is a push button. If you press and release, it's getting on and off. And as it is an impulse valve, it will continue to extend. So you don't have to worry about making it off. Once it receives a pulse, it will do its work continuously. That valve will do its work. Cylinder will keep going until you give the second command to make it off. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's check it. Here you go, sir. We need 1.6.
Emergency released.
Okay,
Then commands.
1.6. Keep that camera a little bit back.
Okay. 1.6 is
Down.
S1.
Yes, 1.6. S6. You can see that light is on. Extended. It automatically retracted. Can you repeat?
So I'll repeat with this sensor again.
Automatically it's going back. Understood? Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Emergency. Okay, so today we discussed about the mechatronics beginning, the architecture, the mechanical design part, all these things, how the complex system is maintained here. Okay. Then we discussed about the input outputs of the kit, its PLC configuration, hardware configuration, and other things, and its configuration in the software as well. Okay. Then a basic programming, not programming exactly, just checking the inputs and outputs whether they are connected properly or